in the book gave some tips, a checklist on, sometimes on speech tips. So here's a couple of things that we can probably put down on how to choose words that might be better for you. So say, for example, number one tip that they gave us was to be accurate. So here's an example. Instead of using both, oh, maybe not that one, sorry. Be accurate, be specific as possible, be concrete, be aware of the audience, and then be aware of appropriateness. And I think these last two go hand in hand. Be accurate, meaning you're using the word that it's supposed to fit in with what you want to say. You don't want to say a word when you mean something else. You don't want to say, maybe you don't want to say textbook instead of online book. So be as accurate as you can. Be specific as possible. So say, for example, instead of using boat, so this is where maybe you could use yacht. Or powerboat, so they're a little bit more specific. Okay. Concrete. I'm kind of now thinking for the concrete, they're kind of like these two together combined. If you want to be concrete about a specific message or word, you want to be as accurate and specific as possible. So I think these two already kind of encompasses be concrete. So let's just kind of delete that one. But at least be aware of your audience and appropriateness. And I think there was a question on that in chapter 1 where, like, how would you talk to someone that is in middle school as opposed to someone that is in, say, for example, in second grade or third grade, and a lot of you guys had really good responses. You had to choose some words that you would think that a second grader might understand. And so you wouldn't want to use kind of big words like, denotative or connotative like that. Most second graders anyway, will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So please be aware of the audience and appropriateness. I think this is going to be our last thing for today. And we've done verbal. Now let's go ahead and do nonverbal symbols, because they're going to be very important for us. And we're going to break them down into 5 main categories. The first one, and this one will be talked about today at the ending of the video, and I think the only part of the video actually, paralanguage. On the next class, we'll talk about these kinesics. I think I pronounced that incorrectly. I'm just going to look back at that when we get that. Next class, proxemics, haptics, and appearance. So today we will only have time to do paralanguage, and let's do that right now. Paralanguage, it's a type of nonverbal communication that uses vocal inflection. So your voice, your pitch. You don't have to bold stuff. It's really up to you. Okay. So what's going to happen is this. Yes, they're the same sentence. Carol wants to call Dan, but we're placing emphasis on a specific underlying word, and how I emphasize this will kind of change the meaning of these sentences, even though these sentences are typed 4 times and it's the same sentence. So let's do the first one. Carol wants to call Dan. So you see how I emphasize that one? Like, Carol wants to call Dan. Carol is calling, not someone else. So that is my emphasis. Okay. Let's try the second one over here. Carol wants to call Dan. Okay. She wants to do it. Carol wants to call Dan. So hopefully you guys can see the emphasis of that one. Carol wants to call Dan. She doesn't want to, maybe she doesn't want to text Dan. She wants to call. And then how about this fourth emphasis? Carol wants to call Dan. So calling Dan, not Kenneth. Okay. So having an emphasis based on the underlined words can change a little bit of the meaning. So again, one more time, the first emphasis, Carol wants to call Dan. Not anyone else calling Dan, it's Carol. Okay. Carol wants to call Dan. Like she really wants to do it. She wants to do that thing that she wants to do. Carol wants to call Dan. She doesn't want to text Dan. She doesn't want to do other things. She wants to just call because something is important. And then Carol wants to call Dan, not Kenneth or anyone else. She wants to call this specific person over here. Okay. All right. That is it for the notes. And then so you can already do the homework problems. So homework problem number 4, you can make a small checklist over here if you want. Check to make sure all of the notes are taken from the video. So that's 3 points. Oh, let me just put this here. Okay, and let's go over some of the other homework problems. Homework number 5, give another example using paralanguage, just like from the notes above. And so we just did that just now, right over here. Type or write a sentence, copy that same sentence at least 2 more times, so you have a total of at least three of the same sentence. So at least 3, you can do 4, 5, or 6, it's up to you. Then underline a different word from each sentence. What are you trying to emphasize with each underlined word? So here's an example again, one more time. So now you got 2 examples, and you're going to have your response over here. So the cat is under the car, not the dog, the cat. The cat is under the car. The cat's not over, it's under. The cat is under the car, not the table, but the car. Okay. So give your own response or answer over here. And I think this is going to be the last homework assignment. Yes, it is. Homework is problem number 6. And this is the last one. Look at the picture that involves sender, receiver, noise, channels, message, and context. And this is from our textbook right over here. So here's a small picture of how communication is portrayed, pretty much. So we have the sender, we have the receiver, there's some noise in the background, he's trying to give a message, and remember we have channels of sight, sound, smell, and touch, okay? And then the whole context of where they're at, and it looks like they're in a room. So what I want for you is to draw your own representation of how a message gets sent. So you can draw, you can use, so it's up to you if you want to draw by hand, and then after that take a picture and copy and paste it over here. Some of you guys like to use technology and can actually draw something over here. That's totally fine. So you must use and put in the words sender, receiver, noise, channels, message, and context. So pretty much like kind of like this a little bit, but just your own representation. This communication drawing can be an in-person communication or technological communication. So it could be 2 people talking face to face, or it could be technological communication. I'm actually kind of curious on how you would represent that. So that is it for chapter 2, part 1.